For the last several months, I've noticed on a lot of social media sites from people trying to buy their first home that they believe that buying a home today in the United States is a scam. And I can kind of see what they're talking about. The interest rates have nearly doubled since last year. So at the beginning of the pandemic, if you were trying to find a house, you had a hard time because there was so much competition, but the interest rates were low. Fast forward 2 years, now there's less houses on the market and your interest rates have doubled. Right now, they're just under 7%. The data recording this is December 2022. And so many gurus promised you once the interest rates go up, home prices would plummet. And here we are, a year later, the interest rates as high as they are and home prices have not plummeted. It begins to feel like a big giant scam, like you can't win for nothing. I understand these people's frustrations, but I've heard on good authority that possibly at the beginning of next year, we're going to be seeing rates in the 5s. But even still, right now, with home prices the way they are, it still might be a problem trying to find an affordable home in your area. So if you haven't bought a house in the last, let's just say 10 years, it might be hard for you to wrap your brain around why people think that buying a home in the United States is a scam. But let me go ahead and show you something really quick. So to buy the median income home here in the United States, it actually costs $368,000, give or take. That's a lot of money. I gotta make a door and windows. My windows are off. Most people believe that you have to put 20% down in order to purchase a house. That would make it $74,000. And when you see it on paper, if you actually look at the median income here in the United States, it's actually $68,000. So if you didn't know about the federal backed programs that would help you with your down payment, not even requiring you to get the 20%, when you're making $68,000, this number seems so unattainable and you'll never even have the dream of having this. And not only that, the competition for those affordable homes has fallen into hands that we've never seen in history before, and that is the corporate investors. It only takes a quick Google search to see how many homes have actually been bought by Wall Street and corporate investors. In the last couple weeks, a few articles have come out where they're teaming up to put in another $1 billion into buying more homes. Invitation Homes, JP Morgan Chase, just to name a few. Even Blackstone had said that they were holding off some assets to go ahead and buy some more homes in the future. So some people just feel like housing's a scam because when is it their turn? Not only that, anybody that's been following this for some period of time, Invitation Homes has been stating that they only have just over 85,000 homes since 2017, and everybody knows. And it doesn't take a genius to know that since 2017, they have a lot more than 85,000. But they just keep highlighting the fact we just have just over 85,000. In the United States, there are several large corporations that own significant amounts of single-family and multifamily real estate. One of the largest single-family homes is Blackstone, a private equity firm that has acquired tens of thousands of properties. Blackstone has invested billions of dollars in single-family rental market, and its portfolio includes properties in major cities across the country. Another major player in the single-family rental market is American Homes for Rent, a publicly traded real estate investment trust, also known as a REIT, that owns over 50,000 properties. American Homes for Rent focuses on acquiring, renovating, and leasing out single-family homes, and its portfolio includes properties in 22 states. Overall, these corporations have been major players in the single and multifamily real estate market in the United States. They all say they have just over a certain amount, but we all know that it's a lot more than they're willing to print. There has to be something done about it. And now let's go to the home builders. If you've been looking for a home for the past 3 years, you're going to know that the home builders aren't building affordable housing. So you had to turn to resale homes in the area. And then you're thinking, well, why aren't the home builders building as many affordable homes? Well, because price per square foot, they want to put as much house as they can on that little tiny lot to make as much money as they can. Home builders for the last couple of years kind of raked home buyers through the coals too, even if you could afford those homes. Some people had contracts on the houses in the last few years that the home prices went up, and the home builder said, since the area went up in price and materials went up in price, I know you were contracted for this amount of money, but we're going to go ahead and sell it to you for $100,000 more than we originally agreed upon. And they could get away with it because builder contracts are designed that way. Well, now fast forward, builders have stopped building. And if you're a home buyer, you're kind of like in a weird predicament because a lot of the home sellers, knowing that the housing market has gone down just a little bit, they're not willing to take the chance. And since they already have a mortgage on their house with a lower interest rate, they're not willing to move. So if you're a first-time home buyer looking for an affordable home, you're really stuck at this point because the home builders haven't been building as many. There is a shortage supply of homes, and home rent has gone up exponentially. Did you know that some corporate investors others that have even bought into condominiums, buying up as many condominiums, not necessarily renting them up, just to make sure that the rent that the people that are staying there is elevated. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that as the blinders come off on what's been going on in the housing market for the last couple of years. And just know this, corporations are not our friends. They're not trying to look out for us. They're always looking out for their mighty dollar. So don't defend them in the comments saying, well, the market determines the price, not the corporations. If you hold on to enough assets and you keep them off to the side and you're able to keep those rents as high as you can, so when you do start filling up your vacancies, you have manipulated the market. That corporation has determined what the market price is. And if you only have a couple rentals in your area, I'm not talking about those investors. I'm talking about the bigwigs that can buy up as many townhomes and condos in the area and be able to manipulate those prices. Now let's talk about corporations on the housing side. They can manipulate the prices of houses in the neighborhood as well. With as much new home construction that's been going on in the area, corporations have been buying up large tracts in each one of these subdivisions, not all over the country, mostly through the Sun Belt. Not only that, you can determine how much those houses will be sold for in the future. If you hold on to that asset and not many people are selling in that neighborhood, the price of the homes maintain themselves. Now, outside factors will determine the home prices, but if nobody's in the neighborhood selling their houses and then a corporation decides to put up one of their houses for sale, they have determined the price for the houses. If they're looking to take a loss, they can tank the price of the house. If they're looking to up the price of the house, they can do that as well. It means no skin off their back. All they're doing is manipulating markets. Now back to home builders. For the last several years, way before the pandemic, we had stopped building as many homes as we had in the past. When we had the last housing crash, a lot of home builders got a little gun shy and they were no longer willing to build as many houses that they had done in previous years. Since then, there's not only been a decline of affordable homes in the United States, but there's also been a decline of new construction. According to the National Association of Realtors, we're short about 5 million homes. This is another way markets can be manipulated. If you don't build as many homes, that's a lack of supply that controls the demand. And then of course, when there's more demand, then the prices go higher. That's why I don't anticipate a big giant crash like we had in years previous, is because we do not have enough homes that are available to the average person trying to buy a house. And this is why it frustrates so many people trying to buy their very first home. And this may not be true in every single area, but there's many areas that are being affected by this. And it just so happens to be Atlanta being one of them. Not too long ago during the pandemic, they were selling about 40% of their contracts were going to investors, and they were buying them in the most affordable areas. Have you ever heard of a word called gentrification? And that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to turn as many of those homes into rental properties, not ones listed for sale. Let me get my tinfoil hat on because I saw somebody on TikTok say that the reason why we don't have enough homes is because the home builders are working with Wall Street to make sure that prices stay high. I think they're giving people a lot more credit than they deserve. Home builders want to build houses to make money. Wall Street wants those houses in order to make money. But the way that Wall Street could manipulate the home builders to keep the prices up is if they keep the supply chain expensive. And that happened during the pandemic. Let me take this off. Now we are seeing that lumber prices have dropped some. Cement has been on the rise, but it looks like it's starting to come down. But hopefully this will start making home prices be more in line with what the median home price is in your area. Now, a lot of people say that the expectation of people buying their first home is too entitled. And I would say you're wrong. Most people that I talk to that are looking for their very first home just want something that is like what we used to see years ago. There was a subdivision that was built in the 1950s and 60s. Many people that I speak to today would love a house like that. There were like 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom houses. They had a 4.5% interest rate. They weren't too far from Los Angeles, and it was Lakewood subdivision in California. Those homes today are still standing. When they originally were on the market, they started off at $8,000. Today, they're worth over $800,000. And that's where the other part where people say it's a scam. How is it that a house that was just supposed to be something that somebody got into real estate turned into something that was such a commodity that it made it $800,000? But this is how markets work. Some of these people that have been talking about it say that it doesn't fall in line with the inflation for the area. But housing markets and inflation generally do not match one another. But I can understand their frustration because when you look at inflation today, the cost of living, the cost of medical, the cost of everything, one on top of another, it's very discouraging on the thought of even trying to own a home these days. But what can be done now? Because my biggest fear, and I've said it many times, is that we'll turn into a renter's nation, that my children will never ever be able to afford a home. Well, it looks like Congress has actually listened. Not too long ago, even a year and a half ago, they were like, oh, corporations only own about 2% of the housing market. Well, they're starting to pay attention because obviously they own a lot more than 2% of the housing market, and they're grabbing it up very quickly. There is actually a bill out there addressing corporate investors. Not only that, the current administration is going to be having a meeting talking about how they plan on addressing corporate investors in the future and if it's something that they're going to put a cap on. As far as vacancies, in some corporations that have been trying to withhold vacancies in order to manipulate the markets, some states have already decided that they were going to start taxing those investors. Not everybody agrees with me, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. I would love to know your opinion in the comments section below. It caused quite a controversy on a live stream. I'm not gonna lie, it really made people mad. But the whole idea behind it is if you're going to have a vacant property in your area that doesn't have somebody living in it within 6 months, it isn't helping the community at all. It's just a vacant house that's taking up space when there could be a family that could be possibly renting it out. So do you think that buying a home in the United States is a scam, or do you still think it's a proper investment for you and your children's future? Let me know in the comments section below. To watch more videos about the affordability crisis here in the United States, you're going to want to watch these videos right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.